It's live. It says.
Great, we got a few people tuning in, so we'll just give it another little bit here for everyone to get the link joined. All right, cool. All right, so let's get started. So welcome everybody to our second day of panels for the ISUGD 2020 Virtual Senior Show. This panel is on branding, and we have Wes, Jordan, and Katelyn, who will be presenting their capstone projects. If you have questions, if there's anything that you're curious about, if you have comments, please feel free to either enter them in the Zoom chat or in the YouTube chat, and I will introduce those into the discussion at the end. So feel free to engage there as people are presenting. So yes, let's start with Wes. If you'd like to share your screen and take it away, and the rest of us, we will mute our microphones and turn off our videos.
Okay. So hi everybody, my name is Wes Butler. The name of my capstone is Study Eats. And as you know from tuning in, this is the branding panel. So my project falls under the branding category. So I'll start off with a quick summary of my capstone. Basically, I'll just let you know or kind of outline and showcase the deliverables and applications that I designed for my capstone that I had with Professor Sherry. And then I'll also kind of explain and walk you through my design process and my design choices. And then in addition to that, I will define like the mission statement for Study Eats, which is like the virtual business that I created for my capstone. And then I will kind of detail some of my research I did for my project, and then talk about like what persuaded me to make my final project decision. So first off is the mission statement for Study Eats. Study Eats offers a unique experience for college students and young professionals by providing the best healthy meal delivery. So this is kind of a sneak peek into what I'm going to start talking about here pretty soon. So the research. Research was a huge part of our capstones, and I began my ideation by thinking about topics within graphic design that I'm really passionate about. Some of those topics were like 3D modeling and animation and motion graphics, publication design. And eventually I decided I wanted to do brand identity. It's something I didn't have a ton of experience in. I thought my capstone would be a really, really good opportunity for me to explore branding identity and get some more experience in that. So after I decided that, I began thinking about some local problems that a new business could solve. And I found through some research that a healthy food delivery service would be really beneficial to our university community in Ames. And if you look up in the top right at that stat, approximately 90% of college students order food delivery every week on average, roughly around there. And so with that information in hand, I combined my desire to do branding identity with the idea of starting a new delivery service. So once I identified the problem, we started problem analysis. And as food delivery services grow, the market becomes more and more competitive, and this effect is even worse in college towns. So I wanted to create something that would stand out and be different from all those other food delivery services, and that's why I wanted to focus on doing like healthy meals and delivering those, making those easily accessible to college students and young professionals. Most delivery services that are around right now, local, like deliver local restaurant food or fast food, and those options aren't always the most healthy or the healthiest. And my research concluded that not many college students and young professionals have fast and healthy meal options. They don't have access to that. So that was really the driving force behind why I wanted to do this for my capstone. So the solution to the problem I've researched is to start a kitchen that creates health-conscious meals that can be delivered to college students and young professionals. However, the overall goal of my capstone wasn't really to create the business and build the business, but rather to create the brand around that business. And of course, with any research, you need to research your target audience. And I found that my target audience would mainly be college students and young professionals. So then my solution elements included a logo mark in the typography. And then I also wanted to create an application for the ordering service. I also wanted to do package design. I wanted to actually design the meals that, or design the packages that the meals would be delivered in. And then I wanted to create a branding guideline book for the business. And then also I did some giveaway materials if we actually were doing the senior show that I could actually give to people. So the logo mark. I designed the logo mark for Study Eats in a minimal style while also still making it feel modern. Since this is a delivery service, I brainstormed some objects that come to mind when I think about delivery. And the obvious choices are like a car or a bike, you know, those came to mind first. But I also thought about maps and addresses. And therefore the pinpoint was the main object I chose to use in the logo. So after I decided on an object to portray in the logo, I needed to find a way to incorporate like a letter or some part of the name in the object. And so after some experimentation and some exploration, I found that the shape of the E actually fit really well into the circle of the pinpoint. So now on to the typography. As far as typography is concerned, I knew I wanted to use a font family that was made for display and web, since those would be the primary places where you would see the logo and see the brand. And then I also wanted to make sure that it was a slightly geometric font, and it also looked modern and relatively simple. Overall, I chose Red Hat Display from Google Fonts. I liked the 4 weight options that it provided, which allowed me to establish a visual hierarchy with the typography. And it was also free for commercial and personal use. So in here you can see the 4 logos. Basically, there are 2 main types of logos, and then there are 2 subcategories of those logos to help with contrast. So there's a white, which can go on dark backgrounds, and the navy, which can go on lighter backgrounds. So we'll move on to the application. From the beginning, I knew that with a project like this, I would need to design an app that allowed users to order quickly and efficiently. And as with all user experience and user interface design projects, I needed to keep users interested in the app and make it easy to find the meals they wanted and make it easier for them to order them. So I used a software program called Envision Studio to do my app page mockups. And this software basically allowed me to actually build the pages and then animate the pages and the transitions. And my overall idea was to actually have it pulled up on a phone at my exhibition booth and have people come up and like actually interact with the app and see how it can be used. So as I started to design the app, the first thing I designed was the app icon. And then you can also see I did like a reducibility exercise to make sure that that was going to look okay on the phone. And then as soon as you open up the app, you're greeted immediately with the sign in or login page and the option to create an account if you need to. And after you sign in, you're immediately taken to the home page, which shows you meals right away. I didn't want the user to have to click through a lot of things or swipe through a lot of things to get to those meals. I just wanted them to be presented with those meals immediately. So after you browse through the home page, you can scroll through and swipe over through the categories. You can click on a meal that you like, and it will take you to this first page right here on the left. And it gives you nutrition facts. It gives you more information about the ingredients, price, and the ability to order right there. You can add it to your cart, and it makes ordering really fast and easy. I also integrated the option to favorite meals. So there's a favorites page, which is the next one over, where you can go to order meals that you really like again and again. And then after that, I designed the my cart page, and this one just gives you basic information about your order, and you can change your billing information, things like that, and your shipping or delivery information, and gives you your order total. And then the My Account page is pretty basic. Just you can change your account options, your billing, and you can actually track orders and things like that. So then I moved on to package design. Initially, when I was thinking about designing the packaging that the meals would be delivered in, I stuck with one color and I was adding titles to the packages that corresponded to what was inside. This method was not very economically friendly because some packages may not be used as much as others. So instead, I chose to organize the packages by the type of food inside and signify this with color and icons. I also decided to leave a blank space with lines for the chef or the meal preparer to write the meal on, making the packages more usable for a larger variety of meals. And the four basic categories are fish, vegetarian, poultry, and beef or pork. So then I pulled those into Cinema 4D and did a few quick mock-ups so you can get an idea of the scale of that packaging and what it would look like on the package itself. So after that, I designed the branding guideline book. A branding guideline book is an important part of any branding package, and it allows the client to have access to all the brand's information regarding their color and typography, how the logo can and should be used. And it can also describe how the brand was developed and serves as kind of a good point of reference for any future designers that might be working with the brand. So I designed the Study Eats branding guidebook with simplicity in mind, and I used the colors of the brand throughout to make it fit with the brand and kept it image focused to describe how the brand is supposed to look. So here are the main colors that I chose. I went with greens and blues because those are really health conscious and health forward. Green to me means fresh, and blues are kind of calm and relaxing. So I wanted kind of this fresh, calm, relaxing feel to the brand. And then here's a look at the typography and the different weights. Red Hat display was absolutely my favorite that I looked through on Google Fonts. So then the giveaway materials. My original plan for giveaway materials during the senior exhibition was actually to print out stickers in different colors and things like that, and maybe some different phrases. And I was going to use them also to seal the meal packages, kind of like a quality control seal. And I was also going to use the stickers to like hand out to just anyone. They could just people could just walk up and take stickers as they wanted. And I also thought about doing something a little different with the giveaway materials, which was like create goodie bags with just snacks and things like that. And I was going to use those stickers to seal those packages. I think that's it.
All right, great, Wes. Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody wants to get in touch, here's my contact info.
Cool. All right. So Jordan, you are up next. And again, anybody tuning in on YouTube, thanks for joining us. If you're in the Zoom, also thank you. If you want to put comments or questions into the text chat, I will introduce all those at the end when we switch to the discussion. So as folks are presenting, feel free to drop questions and points of interest there. All right, Jordan, if you want to share your screen. Excellent.
Okay, so my company is In Essence. I am focusing on sustainability. So what is In Essence? It is a digital-based company that focuses on sustainability in the active space. And by the active space, I mean hiking, backpacking, and camping in fields like that. In Essence deals in showcasing the best companies and items in the field that deal in sustainability. So why this field? Hobbies such as hiking and camping involve lots of waste. Anyone that actively camps and hikes knows that. Some of the items that would be counted as waste would be items like plastic bottles, which I hope we've all gotten to the point of not using. Items like snack and food packaging, plastic Hy-Vee type bags, and also washing items like soaps and shampoos. What I was shocked about at the beginning was one of the biggest wastes is actually dealing with dogs and the dog food and the doggy bags. And lastly, in society today, hobbies such as hiking and backpacking have become heavily populated, and this is mostly due to social media causing a lot of these places to blow up. Which kind of takes me to my next bit, which is the audience. I would mainly be focusing on digital type people, the digital nomads, but that is not saying that is the only audience. We believe that anyone can and should be sustainable. We think that can be people in the casual family household, like mom and dads and just basic families. We think it can be young adults such as myself and a lot of the people watching. And it can also be kids. And we believe we need each of us doing all we can to mend the planet to the ideal state. We don't think it's going to take only kids, only adults, only people who hike, backpack. It's going to take all the people on the planet to get us to the spot we should be. And this is the beginning of my logo concepts. I had all of these basic ones at the beginning, and I decided that the middle one fit my aesthetic the best. So this is my main logo I came up with. I decided on this because it encompasses both the heights of the mountains and the lows of the sea. It is a simplistic style to fit the nomadic lifestyle, so being a minimalist. And I also wanted to have an old time feel to give the sense of dependability. And this is all of the logos and the palette. So I have both the badge layout and the outlines. And next I have my guidelines. So you can see I have all my logos, all of the palette. I also have the typefaces, and I made a mission and concept statement. And then I also have the logos in the outline view. Next, I have kind of just a beauty shot of the same page just to show what it could look like. And next, I jumped into the social media design. So this is an actual account on Insta. If you would like to go along while I'm talking, it is called sustain.inessence. I have all of my photos and posts laid out on that, but I'm going to quickly show them on this as well. So the idea of my feed was I wanted one designed upload, and then I wanted a photo upload, and then a shout out. So the idea would be I have people following this account that would also be living the same lifestyle, and they would take photos of them using some of the items and send it in, and we would post them and give them a little shout out. So this is my set of upload 1 and upload 2, the same concept. The design files have changed a little bit. It is now a mock-up, of my BLEs. The middle photo has changed to show the items. If you go to the actual Insta account, I tagged all the companies that have to deal with this. So I gave them all the shout out they need. And then the last page is the sustainability shout out that anyone following can submit to, and we post them. Did the same thing again, and the same thing again. So if you would like to see this feed, you can go to the sustain.inessence account and check that out. So next, I made iPhone mockups of all of these to show what they could possibly look like. So this is the mockup set 1, the second set, and the next one, and the last one. And finally, I took all these and I made them into one basic mockup that has all of them. And then my last 2 slides, I just have items that didn't get all the love they needed in the slideshow. So on the left side, you can see a little bit of the feed beginning. And then on the opposite side, I have the little decals laid out. So if this was the actual exhibition that we would be having, I would have these to hand out. And then the last image is the BLE mockups. So this would be a mailing list type item that would send out to people, like companies that have items they would like to showcase on the website and get in the hands of the clients. And lastly, I just have a clothing mockup quick, something that we could be selling. And then the last 2 images, I planned on these being handouts at meetups that we had. I have them in places like Salt Lake City, Utah, in Tokyo, Japan, and in Canada. So places like that. I planned on these being little couple inch by couple inch handouts, but I like the way they all look blown up. So I just decided to go with that and hang them up. And lastly, if you would like to check out the account, like I said, it is in the middle on the left-hand side. It is sustain.inessence. If you would like to get a hold of me and check out anything I've been doing, I've been posting a lot of photos I've been taking with this assignment on my main account as well. So if you would like to get a hold of me at all, that's my contact info. So thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, Jordan. Cool. All right. So yeah, anybody who's joined us on YouTube or on the Zoom, thank you for putting your comments in. Add your comments to the text chat. I'll introduce them at the end when we move into the discussion. So Katelyn, you are up. You want to share your screen?
Yep.
Great.
I don't think it'll let me put it on full. All right.
Oh, you're
so
still in Zoom.
what?
Looks like you're still in the Zoom program. If you want to, if you click on the PDF, maybe. There you go.
There we go.
Perfect.
All right. Hi, guys. Like you said, my name is Katelyn, and this is my capstone project. It's called the Craftology Festival. So here's just a little contact information for me. This page is mainly for me to say I do own my own craft business, and it's called Turtle's Corner, which played a huge role in me choosing this topic for my capstone. So just for a little overview of what I'm going to be talking about is really research and ideation and design development will kind of be intertwined. It's not necessarily in order, but then I'll move on to final products and what I plan on with moving forward. So first off, you guys are probably wondering, what does craftology mean? Well, this is a made-up word. It came with me trying to find something fun that wasn't normally used. So my definition for it is the study and obsession with making things by hand as a profession or recreational activity. So for my project concept, coming into this capstone, I already had a solid idea of what I wanted to do. Craft shows have been a part of my life for at least 3 years now. I've owned my company for 5 years. 3 of the last years with that have been taking my business around to local craft shows in Iowa. As a graphic designer and craft vendor, I've developed a whole lot of frustrations when going to shows. There's a lot of direct sales vendors, even though it's labeled a craft show, there's usually more direct sales vendors than there are craft vendors. So direct sales meaning companies like Scentsy and Paparazzi and Pampered Chef. Then there's event organizers who say, even in their contracts, that they're going to do a lot of promotion that they don't actually put into the event. So it's frustrating for craft vendors when you're not getting the publicity that you said you would be getting. And then there's also the non-existent or poor branding that goes into the shows. There's not a whole lot that I've seen, and that'll be talked about a little bit more here in a bit. So for my capstone, I wanted to tackle these frustrations by branding a handcraft only festival. And the original plan was to actually host the event. It was going to be April 18th at Sports Iowa, just outside of Ames. And unfortunately, the pandemic forced us to cancel the event, and I had to move forward with just a hypothetical festival. So for my initial research, I started off with name ideation. So I was looking for festivals locally, nationally, and internationally who were successful on large scales. I wanted to avoid common terminology like craft shows, craft fairs, craft markets, and try to make something unique that would stand out against all these other shows that are going on around in the state of Iowa. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot in the US, and I had a lot of difficulty finding craft shows dedicated to handcraft only. So with the name, I settled on Craftology. It was a lot of finding. I was looking at a lot of like craft puns, and then I was like, well, this is something like I actually study. So I thought of adding just ology to the end of craft. So it started off with, I wanted to do a handwritten type, and it ended up becoming a typewriter style to give this a little more character. It started out as I wanted to call it the Craftology Expo, but it ended up switching to festival after getting some feedback. There was an evolution of the ligatures with it in the type throughout my process, just to connect everything and unify it, and that especially plays in with the double story G that turned into scissors to connect festival with Craftology. So after I finished the logo, I moved on to theme ideation, where I researched music and art festivals for theme and style, since I couldn't really find anything for craft only festivals. And I started trying to do this in Stylescapes, where I was working with the logo that I had originally hand drawn, I started trying to do like just a traditional mandala with characters you'd usually see in mandalas. But as I went back and researched a little more, I found these music festival posters that used their instruments to make up their mandalas. It wasn't traditional, and I really liked the idea of switching that around and using craft tools instead of actual mandala parts. So here's initial iterations, just some sketches, and then there's the initial digital iterations, which ended up being a little bit too clean. My initial intention was to make all of the parts and then try to build the mandala with it. But I ended up switching to doing just the outlines in color and instead of fill, because it just became too overwhelming. So all of the tools were redrawn for a hand-drawn aesthetic. The top half has a different design than the bottom half, and that was mainly because of the glue gun and how the handle protrudes to the bottom. So I had to find things that would work better, and it also allowed me to do more tools and give them more of a representation of all of the craft vendors out there. And I also decided to go with an oval shape to match how wide the logo is itself, instead of trying to keep it within a perfect circle. The color scheme was supposed to be representative of spring, and it's an aqua, yellow, and coral. I did use accents of gray for certain objects, like the needles, nails, and the glue bottles. These colors were also reflective of tools that I have in my own personal studio that I use for my own projects in printmaking and signs. So I originally started with tints and shades for the range, but the tints ended up being a little too light. So I switched to keeping one tint, which is the very light background color, and then did the rest in the original colors and shades to give a range within the mandala. Typography I chose was Praxima Nova condensed, just because I wanted something that was readable, that could be adjusted for visibility from far sites, and also Special Elite as a subtitle for my poster. Like I said, the Craftology logo itself was something I drew and created. There was no official logo type or any typography used on that. It was all done by me. So here's the final products. The first one is my poster. So you see the official mandala logo and my tagline, a celebration of artisans and craft businesses, along with date information and location, and also the what will be the website. So here's some mock-ups. And then these are flyers. So these can really be used for either on-the-go advertising, just handing out to people, or it can even be altered to appeal to vendors to come and participate. I actually did use these, at least the black and white version. I went to the Des Moines Arts and Crafts Show before spring break, before we even canceled the event. to try and recruit vendors and give them something to get them excited and want to come join us. And then these are the sidewalk banners. So I really intend these to be honestly in malls. They are just a larger version of my poster. Here's the highway banner. It would be on probably the Highway 30 close to Sports, Iowa. They, sorry, it would be a way to draw attention from commuters coming from like Boone or Ogden or anywhere in that area. And then here's an outdoors banner that could be stuck up at bars, and also my welcome banner that would be at the front of the lobby area to welcome customers. We even discussed billboards to advertise in areas like Des Moines on the busy highways. And here is the Facebook profile picture and cover photo. They have the information. The profile picture would be used across all social media. So I also have an Instagram account. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the vendor feature frames made so that I could get that put up, but that is a plan in the future. Here's the festival access badges. So this would be used to identify the event organizers, the volunteers, and our craft vendors. So I decided from personal experience with a festival in my hometown that instead of doing paper tickets, I wanted to do a button that people could buy in advance or purchase at the door. And it would be their access, especially in the future if we decide to make this a multi-day event, it'd be helpful so people don't have to repay to come in. They can just put on their button and walk in the door. And it would also make a great souvenir. Here is the official t-shirts. I want to make this one available to vendors in a pre-order where they can get a specialized phrase put on the back of it. So instead of it saying the definition for craftology, like on this official vendor or this official festival shirt, it would say craftologist instead and provide a different definition for that. So the previous one, these would not be available until the day of, because I want to keep the tie-dye for our staff and volunteers the day of, so that it can be easier for vendors or participants to come find help if they need it. Here's just the official tote bag that would be available for purchase. And then here's my personal funny of face masks that would be available. So moving forward, I do plan on hosting the festival. It's not dead, completely dead. I do have plans to create a website and start a social media campaign that would give publicity to all of the wonderful vendors that would be coming and participating in the festival. It might not be names, but once it's up and running, we want the website to be there for as the festival grows. And the social media campaign would be helping to promote vendors leading up to the event. This project came from my passion and admiration and respect for craft vendors who are trying to make a living off of their creativity. And it's my way, this festival is my way of showing appreciation to them and providing a platform for these small business creatives to share their work with the world. Working on the Craftology Festival has brought me closer to figuring out where I want to go with my career in the graphic design field, and I found that I enjoy making materials for expos and festivals. I'm excited to see where this project goes in the future, and if you want to keep up with it, you can follow my social media or portfolio, because all continued work will be posted there. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thanks, Katelyn. I look forward to being able to attend the festival once the world reopens. It'll be great. All right, so Jordan and Wes, if you could also jump back in. We got a couple of comments from the YouTube chat that I want to introduce. The first one is for you, Wes. It comes from Renee Maines, who's a ISUGD alumni, also a UX, UI designer, coder, hybrid type in Des Moines, really talented. And she said, really nice app mock-ups. And then she comments that she has used pretty much everything except InVision Studio. What made you choose that over Sketch or Figma or XD?
Oh, that's a good question. Basically, it boiled down to me having prior experience using InVision Studio. I used it with some other projects throughout my career at ISU. That's really what it boiled down to. I was attracted to it originally just because it seemed more user intuitive, I guess, and I watched some YouTube videos and it seemed really simplistic and easy to use.
Did you learn about your design as you were building it out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had to research user experience and user interface and how to design those things as I was working on the app.
Nice. Also around that same time, Professor Sherry commented on your presentation, Wes, that it was very well researched and presented very professionally. So nice work
Thank you
there.
very much.
Jordan, when you were trying to figure out what direction your branding was going to go, you kind of started with the outdoors. How did you really zoom into this area of like sustainable practice while like appreciating the wilderness? And you kind of made mention of like not loving it to death.
Yeah, I began with two ideas at the beginning. I liked the field of hiking and backpacking, and what I went into Capstone wanting to do at the beginning was ocean pollution. So I wanted to do something with plastic and just junk in the ocean. But the thing with my capstone is I wanted to take the photos myself. So Iowa not being close to an ocean, I thought that would be quite difficult to do. So I kind of decided to mix all of my hobbies and taking that sustainable side and putting it in hiking. And being someone who does hike and backpack a decent amount, I do know that plastic is something that needs to be talked about in this field. And if I'm the one to do that, I'm happy about it. I know a lot of people have been taking steps to make this field sustainable. And I kind of just wanted to showcase all the stuff people have been doing and put that in people's hands, because I know a good chunk of finding all this stuff is also just finding it. Getting new items is awfully tough, and also how much they cost is awfully tough. So I wanted to supply people with sustainable items, not at a like discount cost, but not like the highest end, you spending, you know, like a couple $1,000 on a sleeping bag. So that was kind of the way I went.
Nice. Came out really well. And so then following that line of passion, Katelyn, that really gets to your project where it truly comes out of your involvement with the community, with that particular community, and identifying this place. So can you talk a little bit about what that maybe a very initial process was like of combining, like having almost to have two minds throughout your process, where you had to have the mind of the crafter and the participant, but also the mind of the designer?
Yeah, so initially when we were going to host the event, I did have a partner who has hosted craft shows before. So she was going to handle all the technical side of taking craft vendor applications and dealing with finances and logistics of our location. So that kind of freed me up to focus more on the designing aspect. And I really used my experience to determine what all I felt craft shows actually needed um, to make their events successful and give business to these creatives.
Nice. Yeah, and then Wes, coming back around to yours again. It's, just giving the current condition of society and thinking about how important food delivery has become. Were there things that either came about through your process that are now related to an even like different world of food delivery? And also then like I'm thinking a lot about the fact that the real part of the problem that you seem to be tackling head on is this issue of healthy food, which is like in some ways the hardest to make portable. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think right now, food delivery services is really important to our society. So, of course, initially I didn't know that any of this was going to happen, but I think this service would really benefit people right now. If it were real. As far as like portability, like with healthy food, I guess I haven't thought a whole lot about that. Um, I don't know. I guess it would be like most any other food delivery services.
Mhm. Yeah, because like the way you did the packaging and the way you were like leaving the options open for the chef to write in the additional information, if everything's pre-packaged and everything's the same, that would be more uniform. But you did a nice job in your branding of planning for that type of scalability, or if there were dietary considerations, things like that. Um, there's another, there's a comment in the YouTube, Wes, this is for you. And it says, wow, that's amazing. Your parents must be so proud. And they have the same last name. So
Ah, yes.
I think
Sounds.
you got a shout out from some family members. That's great. So one of the things that I wanted to sort of pose to the group is you've all represented in a really fantastic way this idea that branding is not just about some like visual mark that gets applied over and over and over and over again, but instead it's these like broader characteristics. And so having worked on this project on your own for a longer period of time maybe than most other student projects, what was like one of your sort of big takeaways from investing this much time in essentially a self-directed branding project? Anybody can go first.
I can go first. I think the biggest takeaway was just the experience. Getting to work on a project for an entire semester is a lot different than working on one for just a couple of weeks. So you really get a better knowledge of what it is you're researching and what you're working on. But overall, I think just the experience of actually getting to develop an entire package is really beneficial.
I can go next.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest to me was just like time management, because I did the same thing. I had the chance to study in Italy, and we did almost the same assignment. It wasn't a capstone, but we got to pick one item and focus on that the whole class. So it kind of taught me the whole like BLE system, and not only having a logo. You need to make like a cohesive unit, and that takes a lot of time. And I know a lot of us, with what's going on, it is kind of tough to sit down and design, and kind of just getting in the mindset that like you have to sit down and do it, and you have to get stuff done even though you don't want to, not want to, but it's kind of tough to get stuff done at the moment. So that was the biggest takeaway to me.
Sure. How about you, Katelyn?
So I did a similar project last semester with doing a short branding project of a festival, and I wanted to come back around to those ideas and put it into a context that I'm passionate about. So again, with like time management, that's was a big issue, because when the festival was still going to go on, I had to have everything done within a short amount of time. So once that ended, I altered my schedule to allow a little more time and do a little more products than I was originally going to. I still didn't get to everything, but there's so many plans for the future.
Yeah, that's really great. And you know, any project could potentially never be done, right? There's always something you can improve with every project. A lot of times it's done because it's due or because of a, you know, some sort of deadline. You know, and I think sort of also looking across all three of these projects, you each did a really great job of grabbing something that you're passionate about in some way, whether it's the actual topic, whether it's the approach, whether it's the intended outcome. And so I think there's a lot of strength there. And you all three did a really great job of adjusting this for the current conditions. This was outside of everybody's control, but a huge part of design is responding to changing circumstances and being agile and being adaptable. And I think all three of your projects really like show that, and in a way that is difficult to get your hands around when you're working with branding, because again, so much of it is about these, you know, these sort of like big characteristics that you're trying to represent. So you did a really great job. So that kind of brings us to the end of our YouTube comments and our Zoom comments. Do you all have anything else that you want to add or contribute or ask each other even? Cool. All right. So y'all did a great job. Thanks everybody for tuning in on YouTube. Thanks for the questions. If you three could just hang out with me for just a second, I'm gonna stop the live stream. And yeah, for everybody else who's out there, at 2 o'clock is our next panel. It is on sequential narrative and illustration. So please come back to the same YouTube channel and we'll see you then. Thanks everybody for tuning in.